All right, guys. Welcome back to Worldwide Paranormal Network. We are so excited for tonight.
Ecstatic.
Lots of fun stuff going on tonight. But first, we have to say something. Okay, so I don't know if you guys have watched. What was it, 2 weeks ago? I know.
Right.
I hope you've been watching. But 2 weeks ago, we had what we dubbed and has been dubbed a paragenealogist on. Her name is Vanjie Williams, and she actually uses her paranormal psychic stuff.
Right. Not psychic. She doesn't call
she
herself
doesn't call herself psychic. Sorry, Vanjie. But anyway, she uses that to find people's loved ones and chart people's past history.
It says it. Genealogy.
Yeah.
Paragenealogist.
Not only that, but she is an author, and she writes smoky romances, guys. Smoky romances.
Paranormal smoky romances.
And she was so kind and sent us a book. See? And she even signed it. This is called Broken Life Journals, A Flight for Forever. And this is book 1. It's a 10-book series.
10-book series. None of this 3-book crap.
Right. 10 books.
10 books.
10 books. You're going to want it.
Right. Well, thank you, Vanjie, for that.
Thank you very much, Vanjie.
Our copies. Thank you.
And if you're interested in checking her out, go to www.vanjiewilliams.com. You can order her book there. And then she has another book coming out, too. It's called Whisper.
That's the Steamy Chapter 4.
Yeah, she talked about Steamy Chapter 4.
Right.
Apparently, everybody loves her Chapter 4s.
As they should.
As they should. I haven't gotten to that one yet, but I'm close. I'm close. I'm kind of savoring the anticipation. I'm like, woo!
Well, Cami, who do we have tonight?
We have none other than Grant Wilson. Grant Wilson!
Yay!
Hey, Grant!
Hey, Grant, how are you?
I'm all right. I'm a little bit worked up from all that steamy.
You know what? I bet you we can get you a copy.
We could probably get you a copy. She even signed
How
it.
about you guys give me a cold glass of water?
We'll send you a bottle.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
When you get to Chapter 4, let us know. Save the water for then.
I just poured over my head. Okay.
Yeah, that's always good.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so.
Hey, ladies, thanks for having me on the show. I'm really, I'm excited to talk to you guys. I really believe in what you're doing here on the show, so
Well, thank you.
I'm glad to be here.
Oh, well, we're excited.
It's our honor, honestly.
It is. I mean, we've been doing some investigating for, about 10 years.
Ish.
Yeah, ish.
Yeah.
Give or take. But, we definitely want to know and learn more from people who have been in the field much longer. Because you never, we've talked about this before, but once you figure out something, you're kicked in the butt, and it's like, you're wrong.
Right. You have this theory in your thought process. You're like, this is the way it is. I know I've experienced it. And then, bam, right in the face.
Bam, you're wrong.
Right. It kicks
So you want to hear from the old timers? I see.
Right.
Well,
We're gonna old-timers, but-
what do we call it? Experienced and wise.
Wise. Right. But we learn from
enough.
everybody.
Fair
And we
enough.
like to know different theories and thought processes and ways of doing things. I enjoy it.
Absolutely.
I know you do too.
Oh, for sure. And then we also like to talk with new teams too. I mean, new developing teams, they always have their own theories as well. So just because they're new doesn't mean they suck.
Right. We were
That's
new ones.
actually
We were
even
all
more
new
important
ones.
because people with new ideas and new techniques, like you've been doing it for a while, you come up with new ideas and stuff, but there is something to be said for experience. But someone who is just on fire and ready to get into it has a lot of ideas that a certain percentage are always going to be wrong, but at least they're fresh and new.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That's where the bam right in the face get you.
Ugh.
If they're wrong. Bam. Right in the
Sometimes
face.
it's a little rough. You're like, oh, I thought I had it.
Happens.
It definitely happens. So we wanted to hear about your experiences. I mean, you've gone all over. You've done the residential, you've done business, you've done other countries, castles.
Oh, geez.
You've done castles.
Ah! Oh, man.
One of the things that really blew my mind, I knew that the paranormal field, like one of our goals by getting in the paranormal field in general and then the show, was to raise awareness. And we knew we had hit a milestone when we were getting called in by the Navy.
Right.
Or we had to,
Right.
we had to get Pentagon clearance to be able to go into Wright-Patterson Air Force Base
Right.
to investigate, which is an active military base. So we had to get Pentagon clearance, and the Pentagon said, "Yeah, sure, let these guys in." That's that's a huge milestone for the paranormal field, and to be a part of that was cool. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's
I've done my time. Yeah, well, I gotta take my teeth out. Hang on.
Oh man, I know. Gosh, can you imagine? I mean, what was it that you had to go through? I mean, did you have to do like drug tests and background tests and everything?
Yeah, it was actually pretty painless. Thankfully, our reputation preceded us, and they did a bunch of reference checks to other places we had gone to. We had done stuff for the Navy and for the Coast Guard and the Army, National Guard before then. So we kind of had, we kind of had a good name about us. And yeah, they had to do background checks, and I'm still waiting to get audited by the IRS because of it or something.
Charge you for your own background check.
right.
And it's good
Right,
to hear there was
exactly.
no vials of blood that you lost or anything for that. That's good.
You didn't have to give up your
Back
firstborn.
the thing.
You didn't have to give up your firstborn or anything. That's
Yeah,
great.
fabulous. We're
That would have
happy
been
to hear
easy.
it.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I want to know. I mean, like I said, you've been to so many places. What do you have a favorite?
That's tough. Just for, I would say, depending on what the motivation is. Like, I really, really, really like going to the Stanley Hotel because it's just beautiful. I'm a big nature guy. I like to be out in nature, and you're just minutes away from Rocky Mountain National Park. And there was one time where I walked out the door and I couldn't get to the rest of the hotel. Now, I was staying in a building separate from the hotel. I couldn't get there because there was a big elk, just standing there.
Yeah, I've been there, and there was a whole herd just sitting out in like a camp area, and it was just
Right.
like gosh, maybe a mile from the Stanley Hotel, and we went right
Yeah,
up
it's
to
like-
them and pet them, and I mean it was weird. I'm like, ooh,
They don't care. Yeah, when we were there, we
Yeah, and they don't even share their s'mores with you. So it's not,
join the
like annoying.
campfire songs and.
come on. But above and beyond that, it's beautiful. If you're like, I brought my wife there with me once. It's very romantic, and it's active.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have much reason to be. So it's not necessarily negative in my experience, at least, but it's active.
Right.
We've had tables flip over, chairs go flying. We've had voices. My wife had something grab her hand and hold it, and see the temperature difference. We had obviously on the show we caught the little girl down in the crawl space.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome. The people there are great. The town was cool. I like that. But my favorite, just the one that's near and dear to my heart, is the ones we did in Ireland. Just because, I don't know. I'm Scottish by heritage, but something about Ireland just calls to me.
It does me too.
Yeah,
There's some weird stuff there.
Yeah.
Well, Cammie is dubbed the Fairy Queen, I have to say. She's dubbed
That's
the
true.
Fairy Queen. And so, the little fairy trails in there. You can stay away from the fairy paths. They'll
Well,
get you.
and the rings. I mean, whew.
Right.
And then you go into a whole new ball game with like trolls and gnomes, all that kind of fun stuff.
Well, yeah, and it's not like what you're thinking. It's not little red caps, and it's not Tinkerbell.
New.
Well, Cammie is the Fairy
It's
Queen.
good stuff. We walked into a pub in Ireland, and we were in rural Ireland, which is pretty much the whole country. But I mean, these are guys that are working the farms all day, and they live for that pint at the end of the day, and they're up there and they're drinking. We're talking, and we're all getting along, guys from America, and we're just joking. And then I turn to somebody and I'm like, "Hey, so what are you guys' thoughts on like the wee people, of them?" And the whole place is like you could hear the needle scratch. And everyone looked at me, and then they just went back to the drink. I was like, oh, God, you just killed this party. But yeah, they respect it. Like while we were there, they were building a and tell me if I'm rambling, but they were building a new highway, and they were spending like €4 million to move it far enough away from this fairy tree, so that they wouldn't.
That's awesome.
Like, yeah, they really.
I love the
I mean,
Irish.
that's saying. Yeah,
I'm telling you, if somebody would spend like $4 million to like I don't know anything on me. You know, that'd be freaking sweet.
Right?
Well, you are the fairy queen.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
So everybody start, paying their homage to Cammie.
I would be like, give me €4 million and I'll move a fairy tree.
Yeah,
and
I
some
will ask
crap
my
fairy.
minions.
Don't get mad at me. That's fine.
I love it.
I know. I mean, it's so fascinating. We went to Hawaii a couple years ago, and we went, obviously we're going to go on a ghost hunting tour, right? And there was a lot of really cool stuff there. And there was this one couple, they took a picture, and I swear there was a fairy in it. I am not kidding. It was small and had wings, or maybe a pixie, I don't know. I guess fairy can be any size. But it was cute. And I don't know, I guess I didn't really think fairies are cute. I mean, like, the Disney cute is not really what people believe that fairies are.
Well, no, they're mean. They will wreck your life.
They have tails.
If you're in a path, they will take you down.
They steal
They
bird's
don't-
nests.
They don't have wands, okay? So if the picture had a wand,
No, it didn't. It didn't. And that was what sold me on it. No wand.
No one.
but did you think of a thought? Any little thought? Any happy little thought? Think of Christmas, think of snow.
You know,
So you could.
that's my secret.
Not telling nobody.
No, but in Hawaii they have the Menehune,
Yeah.
which are the little folk, and I'm fascinated by that stuff.
Oh, me too. We have a friend that's in North Carolina,
Right.
and she has a psychic ability as well.
Mm-hmm.
And she said she's also a ghost hunter. She went out and she swears, she's like, "What in the world is that thing?" And they're like, "Oh, it's a gnome." Or was it a troll?
It was a troll.
She's like, "It's a troll."
I've never heard of anybody going troll hunting or picture taking. I mean, they're in fairy tales, sure, but I didn't really think anything further than that.
I know. She's like, "There's trolls in North Carolina."
Right. It was like...
That's some country bumpkin. Was he carrying a jug with 3 X's on it?
I don't know, but she said it was of the earth. It was ancient and of the earth. So take that as you will.
Wow.
But that was I want to see the picture.
You need to see the movie Troll Hunter. Have you ever seen that movie?
Troll
Have I
hunter?
seen it?
Troll
I'm like
Hunter.
a big geek, as my shirt kind of says. I'm wearing a Batman shirt.
I can't see your shirt.
brother with the subtitles.
I know. Well, it's got the Batman logo on it. It's yellow,
Right.
Okay.
yellow. Anyway, and it's even got a utility belt on it. It's really
cute.
cool. So,
Nice.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that I've seen the Troll Hunters.
Oh yeah.
Troll Hunter. It's a movie.
Okay, Troll.
And Troll Hunter. Troll
Has
Hunter.
subtitles.
Is it a subtitled
Yeah.
one?
Have you seen it?
My brother.
It's an awesome movie. It was done in like Norway, so they're all speaking Norwegian, but it's done kind of documentary style, and it's great. I highly recommend it. There's these college kids, and they find this guy. They think he's a poacher, and they find out that he's like hired by the government to keep trolls in check and in their territories, and it's awesome. Fun ride, yeah.
I'm gonna have to
Those,
watch it. Now.
those are my favorite stories.
I'm a big geek at heart, and I love all the nerdy movies, all the B titles. They're
But
awesome.
you know what's going to be really funny
Okay.
is when you die and you find out
Right.
they're all real, and you'll be like, "We called them nerdy," and like King of the Trolls sitting there.
It
You
wouldn't be
call
the
us
first
nerds.
time. Well, we've been called nerds on plenty of ghost hunts by spirits.
I don't recognize that title. By spirits.
I'm proudly a geek, proudly a nerd. I mean, obviously there are a bunch of like games and like
Right.
painted minis there and Legos over there. I mean, and this is my office. This is where
It's the serious Lego building area.
yeah, clear out. I need to do my Legos, please, everybody.
Kids out of here.
Grant only room. Kids are not allowed.
I
It's
know.
dad's toys only, right?
Well,
Right.
yeah,
Well, it's where I do all my drawing, so I gotta have inspiration.
you have
That's
to.
right.
Have you seen the new Halloween Legos?
Yes.
Aren't those the coolest?
Yes, the train with the face on it and everything.
Yes.
Those, and now they're making. I don't know if you know what steampunk is, but they're
Right.
making steampunk Legos.
That's awesome. I love it.
That's exciting.
I love it.
Yeah.
Right. So,
This is more.
since we're talking about games here, real quick, what
Ah.
are you doing with your life now with games?
I'm just sitting back on the billions of dollars that I have. Apparently, that everyone thinks I have. Stashed away. Just sipping martinis on my yacht. And sort of,
Well, I want a yacht.
Invite us out.
No.
Yeah.
No, actually, I have a good friend of mine named Mike Ritchie that I've known since I was 5, and he is a very talented board game designer, which is kind of a weird talent to have, but he's discovered it and he has it. It was good. And he was working with some other companies, and I love to draw, and he wanted to branch out on his own. And I said, well, shoot, give me a shot. Let me try being the artist. So we started a board game company together, which is just an awesome industry to be in.
Right.
And we're kicking it in the butt. We're cranking. We have 3 games out now. I've done the art on 2 of them. We have a 4th game now that we're really close to backing on Kickstarter. And if that game gets out, I mean, that's gonna be it's gonna be awesome. We already have expansions and stuff like that. Now I don't know how many of your viewers are game geeks, but you know what? No matter what you think, a lot of people play Monopoly. They know these games, but you know what? Those are the boring games. Seriously, there's a whole subculture of board games that are really amazing to play and really bring families together and aren't this boring, just colors and pegs.
Right.
And that's what we're trying to do. Is like I slaved for the past 8 months or so doing all the artwork for this game, and I've had a blast, and I just want to share it. Everybody who plays it loves it. Everyone who plays our games love them, and we're just trying to get our name out there so that which I don't have millions of dollars, I quit the show at my own volition, and therefore the money stopped. So I'm not getting money for that.
Yeah.
But I was smart with my money, so I had enough where I could start this company and kind of just make sure that I was financially okay until this was up and running. And so my fingers are all crossed, my toes, my eyes are crossed, hoping that this will go. And everyone on Twitter and Facebook is so sick of me pushing this stuff. But
Well, I mean, you don't have a lot of time, though. You only have, 30 days to get a certain amount of money, like they called it a pledge, and then it's done.
Yeah.
So
Exactly, and we only have, I'm looking at the site right now, we have 68 hours to go.
Oh,
and we
wow.
have to raise just under $10,000.
Okay. Well, how much are
let's do this. Okay, so for all of you guys, I mean, Grant, thanks again for posting and just promoting this show. I mean,
Right.
we really appreciate it. But
No problem.
let's kind of give back to Grant here, because for how many years did he go out and investigate and show us stuff and teach us stuff? I mean, seriously,
pioneer of the paranormal
Right.
investigating, got people to be more comfortable with the actual thought that there are spirits and ghosts out there.
helping people all the time. And I mean, I don't know if a lot of people understand the way that TV works, but as soon as you're not on it, you're done.
Right.
And you're not getting paid anymore. So let's give him, our help and say
Right.
thanks for him for, helping us out and learn and just kind of paving the way.
Right. Well, how do our viewers pledge to help this game get their kickstart?
Well, first off, thank you. I mean, I appreciate it. That's cool. I mean, it's not that I'm expecting everyone who likes ghosts to come over and follow me to this aspect. But, if you do like it, give it a shot. If you haven't really given board games a try, you should, because there are some really cool ones. But if people want to pledge, and then we shut up about it, but if people want to pledge, you just go to a site called Kickstarter. It's Kickstarter.com, and you search Dwarven Miner, DWARVEN, Dwarven Miner, and it'll come up. You'll see a dwarf holding a torch and some purple lettering and stuff. You go there, and you get back the project. Now, some of the things, it doesn't use PayPal, it uses like Amazon, so it's very, very secure. But you don't have to have a minimum pledge. $1, I think, is the minimum pledge. But if you pledge $20, we're gonna send you a print of a drawing I've done and signed.
Oh.
The game is gonna retail for $50. It's a high quality game, all made in America.
Oh, good.
It's hard to do.
Right.
$50. So if you pledge $50, you'll get the game. That means you don't pay tax and you don't pay shipping. So you're getting a pretty good discount on it.
I think so.
Well, and it's cute too. I mean, it's so cute. If you go on Kickstarter, you can see like all the little stages of
art's
drawings,
there.
like your illustrations and all the little different things that you can do. And there's even a video. We wanted to play it, but it was 11 minutes long.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can see how you play it. You can see all these different things, and it's cute and it looks fun.
Yeah, you know.
It's funny because you even watching the videos, people who have played it a lot watch the videos and are like, it doesn't do it any justice. Like this game it's just a blast. We would have test play groups and we'd give them the game and we let them play it. And when they were done with the game, we'd be like, all right, thanks, give us your feedback, appreciate it. And they're like, no, wait, we gotta play it again. Like, okay, so we let them play it again. No, wait, we're gonna play it again. It's like, I gotta go, we can't do that.
You're like, time.
But they have to get first, second, third place. You know how it goes.
Right.
It's a bragging right thing.
It is. Well, my cousin Shane owned a board game store out in California, and I've watched over the last several years before he had to close the store down his passion for these board games, and they have big family game nights, and you go in and you play the different games in the store.
Oh,
and
wow.
then you decide to buy it or not, yeah.
So they have testers.
They have testers just like Grant has,
Yeah.
but I've watched the passion in it, so it's a big deal. It's and who bringing your family close together, who can complain?
Yeah, or your friends, or
your
just
friends.
like I said, bragging rights.
That's it. I mean, in this day and age, where they're getting so like sucked into anything with the screen.
Yeah.
It really an hour a week can save a family. Like, I'm not saying like we're saving lives here. But, I mean,
You can. We'll let you.
I'm not disillusioned like that, but it's like, it's seriously like we get together and we'll play. Even just getting everyone together for an hour, because people don't even get together for dinner anymore.
No,
So
that's very
you get
true.
together for an hour, and it just brings people together. Really, it's awesome. But
Yeah,
that's me on my soapbox. I'm done. But,
All right. Well, we'll
World
say.
Miner's great. I guarantee, if you like board games, you'll love this one. And yeah.
All right.
We appreciate it. Even if it's just telling people about it. That'd be great.
Yeah.
right. Well, we'll put our word out.
Yeah. Let's help out our fellow paranormal investigator.
That's right. That's right.
All right, now let's not call Worldwide Gaming Network. So let's move on to the paranormal.
That's right.
Well, you can be a gamer and investigate too.
Right. I agree.
Yeah, well, actually, there are a lot of gamers in the paranormal.
I know. They're all techs.
Exactly.
We need them.
They're techs,
Techs.
So do you do much investigating now, or is that just you're setting it aside just for gaming now when you're in your company?
No, and that's kind of interesting. A lot of people think that they're like almost like nervous to talk to me about ghost hunting. It's like, no, look, I left the show, the rigors of the show, to be home and be with my family because it beat me up.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I still investigate. I have burning questions of my own, and I've been investigating for a long time. I'm going to continue to investigate. So, I mean, the first, last year, most of it I didn't do much of anything because I had to focus on kind of come back to normal life. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but, I mean, because you're filming every week. They want 26 episodes a year, and it takes about 2 weeks to film an episode. So, do the math. That's
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I was gone Monday to Friday, sometimes Saturday, or Sunday to Friday.
Oh.
And it was really, really tough. And kudos to my amazing wife and my boys who just stuck with me and supported me. And
Yeah. Truly.
Anyway.
Truly.
So,
We want to hear about some of the things that you've discovered. I mean, obviously, we were talking about how you go out, you learn things as you're investigating, you think you've got it, and then bam, you don't have it. I mean, what what is it? I want to know what you think is going on out there. I mean, what are the things that you have learned and are still wanting to learn?
Right, and still and putting it into play today.
Right.
well, it's good because I'm still investigating now. I'm doing off the show. I'm going back to kind of the beginning where I can take a case and see it through to the end instead of doing a preliminary investigation and handing it over.
Right,
So
right.
I love that because that's when you really get into the meat of it. You help guide these people all the way through the process. But Yeah, I tell you what. A lot of investigators have a lot of theories. I of course have my share, but it comes down to the fact that to be completely honest, as we all should be in this field, we have no clue what's going on. We can only guess. We can take what the trends that we've experienced, our experiences. Yeah, there are trends. Like you can just take tendencies or make a theory that kind of lets the facts that explains all the facts, and you can take those and just kind of make educated guesses based on that. So, like let's say all this weird stuff is happening in a home. Let's pretend it's a person who's dead. Okay, what are their motivations? What would they be able to do? And just kind of, I don't know if I'm making any sense here, but you kind of have to just understand the fact and accept the fact that you don't have any idea what's going on, and that gives you an open mind.
Right.
And then from that point, you have to have experience. You have to have real experience, not book knowledge. Not hearsay. You have to experience it yourself and test things out, and then you can come up with a theory that actually is supported by your experiences and the facts, instead of just what you think. Like when I first had my paranormal experiences and stuff, I read and I was just like, this is garbage. And I'm not saying that everything out there was garbage, but just I had an intense paranormal experience for 2 years straight that didn't fit anything I've ever heard before. And I would ask people, I would read books, and the stuff they were saying is just like, yeah, you know what, that's great in a little fantasy world. Like, that's a cool setup, but that's not how it works. Like, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm talking about. You have to have real experiences to be able to formulate theories that make sense. And I have my fair share of them. Whether they're right or wrong, I don't know, but that's why they're called theories.
Well, and that's also why we want to talk about stuff. I mean, when we were talking on Facebook, I was, just explaining how, we want to get everybody involved in the paranormal, get the people who, are already in the paranormal, kind of bring them together. Mm-hmm. I mean, old, new teams, developing teams, whatever.
People who are just interested.
Right, interests. Just bring it all together and work on this stuff, because like we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of people out there that do have theories that has never been heard before, and it's all like we were saying, some fresh mind, some fresh blood so to speak, and just kind of bring them all together and talk about these things, because that's the only way that we're gonna really find this out, and then of course research and experiment. But
the experience.
Is there are two main issues in the paranormal field that is keeping that from happening, and those are very clearly territorial disputes, which are ridiculous, and ego.
Mm-hmm.
If you remove those two things from the equation, all of a sudden everybody's working together, whether you're experienced, whether you're new, whether you're living right next to each other. I never understood the territorial battle. Why two groups would be like, oh, you're on my space. Yeah, whatever. I don't care. I can investigate it tonight and find nothing, and you can investigate it tomorrow and find stuff. And if we combine our efforts, we're all going to get there faster. You do your technique, I'll do mine. If we're all doing it the same way, we're not going to learn as much.
Right.
And then the whole ego thing where, some guy that no one's ever heard of comes up with an idea and no one listens to it because they're too, oh, well, I'm a professional. There are no professionals in this field.
Can you do that again? I'm a professional.
But they just squash these new guys and their ideas, and those are usually the ones that they may fall flat the first couple times, but you tweak it a little, and all of a sudden, where would we be in this field if people didn't try EVP? Like, they didn't grab a, like, someone at some time had that crazy idea and everyone laughed at them, but they stuck to it.
Right. Or even, we could go in, like you were talking about, you've got this young, new, fresh-blooded investigator coming in with this crazy idea. Instead of being like, you're nuts, we don't even want to deal with that, help him out. You know,
Right.
join the team, you know, effort and try to maybe put your input into that. Give it a spin. Maybe you'll find something.
Right.
And constructive criticism.
Right.
Like, "What? That's a dumb idea. You don't know what you're talking about." Even if you know, or if you've tried it before or whatever, you can say, all right, let's try to think of why this would work and why it wouldn't work. Like, let's look ahead. And, you know, and you just be like a mentor or a tutor instead of a tyrant.
Right.
Right. And then you can also learn from things too. I mean, I know that I've learned things, you know, from so many people that I didn't expect to learn from.
Oh, wow.
You know, my
Yeah.
daughter, oh my gosh, she had me going with the Wii thinking I had a ghost in my house. But she has the controller, she's pushing the buttons, and the ghost is answering questions. I'm like, all right.
Well, I'll tell you what, I was with my kids, this was a few years ago, and we have an outbuilding in the back of our house, and they would jump on their little trampoline there, and so they want to do that at night, so I turn on the outside light, and they would see what they thought was an apparition inside this building.
Mhm.
And so I knew what it was. I debunked it right away. Instead of being like, well, you know what, I'm a professional. Instead of saying, you know what, I know exactly what it is, you guys are wrong, I was like, well, let's do it, let's go. And they wanted to investigate. We went out there, you know, took the K2, and we're asking these questions, and nothing's happening, but we're giving it a fair shot. And after a while, I finally said, you know what, guys, I don't know. We're not getting any response here. We've tried everything to communicate, and they're not responding, so I guess there's nothing here. And my middle son, he looks at me, he goes, Dad, what if they're deaf?
Oh!
I'm like, yeah, you're right. Okay, what can I say to that? I don't know if they are or aren't, you know.
Well, you better learn some sign language pretty quick then.
Like, that's the kind of stuff that's like this new, fresh look out.
Yeah.
Not, you know, you've just become such an old hand at it that things are just kind of common sense,
Right.
and you just block things off because you just haven't experienced it yet, or you've been trained to think a certain way.
That's very true. That's very
What if
true.
they're deaf? Now that's a question. I mean, seriously? I've never heard that.
Well, think
Brilliant.
about it, because you'll see entities and stuff, and they'll be, you know, we've experienced some that look wounded or missing a limb or something like that.
Mhm.
So, you know, why not?
Yeah. I mean,
Well,
that's
sure.
true. We yeah. Wow.
What if they're deaf? Good thing I know sign language. I'm going to start signing to every ghost hunt we go to.
But here's the thing: is now go to the ghost hunt, have someone do the EVP, have someone else do an ASL at the same time, and see. You know, if you see if before where you weren't getting response, or if history dictates that the person was deaf or something,
Mm-hmm.
try it out. You never know.
Yeah, I'm so doing it.
We'll
That's
have to.
awesome. Well, that's amazing. I mean, I would have never, ever thought to try that. I mean,
yeah.
you do different languages, you do different, different
music.
triggers, music,
Mhm.
different things like that. But your kid's brilliant.
It's just, that's the way he thinks. He's totally out of the box, outside the box.
Well, good
I
for
love it.
him.
That's-
I know, me
Yeah.
too.
I love it. I love that. That's just
Well, and that's what
Brilliant
we're,
thinking.
yeah, and that's what we're talking about, like you said, with the fresh stuff. You know,
yeah.
we'll call them the freshies.
The freshies.
The freshies.
So that's funny.
One of the things I was actually talking to Kenny about is kind of an interesting thought. It's not necessarily, may not be mind-blowing to anybody, but everyone tends to talk about how entities are made up of energy.
Right.
Right, Kenny, remember this? Everyone
I remember. I've been pondering ever since.
Yeah, and they tend to think that, spirit, you'll hear people, or just energy, or just energy. We, in fact, actually taught EVP, where the EVP said we're not just energy,
Oh, wow.
which was interesting. But what I'm getting at is that energy, just the way it works, it needs a vessel to be contained in,
Right.
or else it disperses.
Right.
It's entropy, it just goes.
Mm-hmm.
Like think of us as human beings. We have to eat fuel. We have to take it in like an apple, convert it to energy. Now it's in our body, and we can use it when we want to push stuff around, talk, whatever. But if a spirit is just energy, it would just it would die. Like it would just naturally disperse. In theory. But if that spirit is made up of a very, very fine matter that we just haven't been able to measure yet, you can't detect it. Now all of a sudden, entity is sucking the energy out of your batteries or from the air or from you, and it can contain it. It can hold it, and now it can condense that matter or whatever to move something, or to make a sound, or to do whatever it needs to do. And that's something that I firmly believe. But that matter could still move through things in its kind of relaxed, natural state.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm making sense.
No, yeah,
and I can
you
only
are.
make this theory based on the fact that I've experienced so much evidence, I've had so many experiences that kind of it pulls it all together, like the ghost theory of relativity. It's
I like it. Well, I went online and I'm like looking up quantum physics and all this stuff because it kind of goes into that category, what you're talking about. And there's a lot of stuff out there that can really help.
Right.
And, along this theory, a ton.
Well, does that go along the lines of if it has some type of matter to it, that's how it can physically touch you, leave the scratch marks, or, it doesn't happen very often, but it does happen.
Exactly. It makes you wonder if why we experience cold spots or temperature fluctuations, is that because that's a natural reaction to that process. Like, that entity is there and it's gathering energy, or it's just manipulating its matter or the energy in some way that it's actually the side effect is that, and that's what we're detecting is the magnetic field, is the temperature difference.
Well, and that's interesting that you say that as a side effect, because for me, I'm not psychic in any way. I have no gift of sensitivity whatsoever, but for me, when I feel a spirit around, I get that, anxiety, that fight or flight, and I recognize that as, I'm not really afraid, but that's how I can tell something's around,
It's your body's reaction. It's a side
right,
effect.
from, and it's not just, I think that's it. We've gotten EVPs, we've had a lot of other different kinds of equipment picking up something. And
physically ill.
Seeing things.
Right.
So I think that there's something to that, because that was what I call a side effect of a spirit is my anxiety. So I think you're right.
You can take it one step further too, where if a ghost is a dead person and they're made up of that fine matter, then we as living people should have that fine matter within us. And that's
exactly.
why our spirit is able to exist in the same place as our body, in theory. And that when a spirit is nearby, some people, like that energy or that matter can recognize itself. Like your spirit energy is detecting that spirit. Your spirit matter is detecting that spirit.
Right.
And so that's why you get this reaction. Some people are more sensitive to it than others. And that's another way to look at it. In fact, there were times where we would go on investigations, and there were actually 2 instances in the whole time I've been doing this that I've had an entity come at me or come towards me. And it was, I could see that it was a person. I could make out the clothes, you know what I mean? I could see a person coming at me. And I had the camera and I took a picture, and then the picture was just mist.
Mm-hmm.
But what I saw with my eyes, and one of the instances there was someone else who saw it too. What we saw with our eyes was a person in clothes coming at us. But what was really there, in other words, what the camera picked up was a mist. So again, is that my spirit matter, so to speak? My spirit matter, so to speak. Is that seeing itself? Like, am I able to see that with my eyes when the camera can't, because it doesn't have the ability to detect that?
That's fascinating.
That's a really good question.
We've had a time where we had set up a night vision camera looking down the long hallway, and my husband knocked over the tripod. He was looking in the camcorder trying to fix it.
He's got big feet.
He's got big feet. I can't help it. He can't help it. They're clown. They're skis. I'm sorry, babe. I love you, but your feet are massive in the way. I can't tell you how many times I've tripped on his shoes.
Yeah.
Anyway, besides the point. That his
when he swims?
No,
he doesn't need those flippers.
He doesn't need flippers, and he also doesn't need clown shoes for Halloween time.
Well,
if he's a clown.
they're small.
Too small for his feet.
It's true.
It's true. So anyway, he opens the door, he kicks the tripod, he's trying to fix it, and he's looking in the LCD screen, and he is pitch black at the end of the hall, and he's looking at it, and he watches the man come out of the room that everybody sees all the time, come out of the room and come up the hall. You hear him go, huh? What?
Yeah, he was like clearly
Oh
panicking.
shit! And you can hear him just like panic because you can hear him look down, look up, look down, look up, look at the screen, look out into the hallway, see nothing but see it all on the screen. We go to review it, not a darn thing there.
Yeah,
Yeah, that happens a lot.
it was so frustrating.
Oh, it's maddening. We're like, we finally caught the full body apparition. He said he could see the clothes outline him. He could see a full person. He was convinced there was another person coming down that hall.
That's what I'm talking about. Seeing that kind of. That's why that theory. That's why I hold to it. Is there's so much of experience that points to it, and you can even go. Wow, you can even go one step deeper, which I don't know if we're ready for.
Oh,
but,
we're ready.
Do it.
Okay, now this is gonna be crazy. I don't know if it's this, but
Oh, do it.
on a quantum level, okay?
Okay.
You have imagine this, okay? Imagine that each what's the word? Each particle of matter, like you
Right.
go to the molecule and it breaks up into quarks and
Mm-hmm.
it goes deeper and deeper and deeper. You get to that those little bits, and I like to think that if we as a being have a spirit, and let's say animals do, let's say tree, let's say every bit of matter is mirrored with spirit matter. And this isn't religious. I'm just saying that spirit matter that I'm talking about isn't just people. It's in every single bit of of creation.
Just
Okay?
everything, right?
So if that, if you have a rock, okay, that's made up of tons and tons of these little bits of matter, which then would
Dense.
which then would have a spirit matter counterpart to it, and that, let's say that spirit matter, like when we die, our body has no intelligence to it. It's in our living self, and which could be in our spirit.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, just bear with me here.
Oh, I'm hanging on here. I love it.
So let's say that like a rock or tree, whatever, eat that, not the rock or tree itself, but the bits that make up that also have that spirit matter counterpart. And that spirit matter counterpart has some level of intelligence to it, which is probably not much at that
I was
level.
gonna say, I'm
Enough
never
to-
throwing a rock again, ever.
No, enough to know that it is what it is, and that it will always be that. Like a rock stays a rock.
Mhm.
Right.
People can make choices and do all that stuff, but a rock is just a rock. Now let's say that you could then somehow communicate with that intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Now this is the only part in the program. I'm not one to be preachy or anything like that, but this is the only part of the program where I'll just give you a slice of religion.
Well, it's probably,
could-
it's relevant. I mean,
Right.
you never
Yeah.
know. So, yes, go
Well,
on.
there are some places where religion overlaps, and you can't ignore it. But here is, let's say that if you could communicate with that intelligence, and it had and it respected you,
Mhm.
you could in turn take water and make it wine just by telling it.
Oh,
Okay. Oh.
Saying
Hello.
you could take diseased flesh and make it whole.
mm-hmm.
If it respected you, if you were someone that was respectable, which we all know who I'm talking
Right.
about, believe him or not, or whatever, we just know that story, those stories, and that could add some credence to that. So
I like it.
what I'm getting at is that if the reason I bring that up is that it brings us back to though that bits of matter communicating or recognizing other bits of it.
I like
you know,
that.
I like it. It makes a lot of sense.
Well, and it's definitely an avenue to go down. I mean, seriously, if you can detect, find, I don't know if we are capable of it, or definitely not yet, but if we can find a gadget that can detect, smaller levels of matter,
Right.
I mean, or even these undetectable matter that we're talking about, like spirit matter, wow. I mean, think of all the things you could do. I mean, it'd probably be like a cure for cancer or something.
Well, think about it though. If you could, the first step in that process would be to be able to identify
Mhm.
a large amount of this.
Mhm.
So that I have a device that, okay, there it's saying there's a people's worth of this, like the same amount that's in you being alive of the spirit matter.
Mhm.
It's the same amount of that standing right here, but there's not a body. Like if you could figure that out, that's the first step. And then if you could hone into that point where maybe you can start manipulating it like we do with matter through frequencies or whatever, you could then maybe communicate with that, or like at least encourage them to do something. Like, and I'm not sure that that's a good thing, because you might be like shocking that spirit into showing itself, which you might not be good, but
Right.
You would then be able to at least validate that, okay, there is a pocket of spirit matter here.
Right. We have to
Then
find
you'd have to be able to
a
discern that spirit matter from the spirit matter that's in the walls and the floor and the air itself, you know? So it would be very tough.
Well, and I was thinking about this too. You know, in all, I was telling you when we were talking about this that when I first started this, because I've had a theory that it's definitely down the lines of the quantum physics, like we were talking about,
Right.
and I was thinking about all these different things that we could do, and I was like, what if we can manipulate the matter, like you were saying, you know? And I thought that could be so dangerous. I mean, in the wrong hands, I mean, there's probably a reason we don't know it yet. You know, that could be so dangerous.
About that too, to speak to that angle of it, is like I said before, in order for water to become wine, it would have to respect you enough to say, I'm not going to be watering, so to speak.
Right. So if you're,
You know, so there might be some built-in universal checks and balances there. But again, it's all theory, and it's just a mind that doesn't stop.
that was the cuckoo
love
sign.
it.
That wasn't a mind that doesn't stop. That was the cuckoo sign.
They're the same. Stop, you're crazy.
Right. Well, I like it, and I hopefully it's making all of our viewers think that
Right.
there's more to it than what we know
Or
it
it's
as.
putting them to sleep, one of the two.
No, it's completely fascinating.
I think it's fascinating. I don't know about you. Like I said, I read like this huge book. It was like 3 inches thick, this quantum physics book. And I probably understood an inch of it. You know? And I'm like, okay, so I'm not going to be offended by this because, you know, a physicist, you know, they already know the basics, and people that, you know, the average person that hasn't learned that yet doesn't know the basics, so they're not explaining these basics. So obviously I'm going to lose something here and there. You know?
Just a little bit.
But, you know, at some point I could go back to basics. But, you know, why?
Why? Yeah. Why? Well, somebody else will figure it out.
There's a lot that can go synonymously with this, and that, you know, if you start to research quantum entanglement,
Mhm.
things like that,
Wow.
that really starts to be interesting. Where if you have two electrons and they're charged the same, and then I'm boiling it down because we don't have enough time, and I don't have all the vocabulary.
A
But
3-inch thick book. Yeah.
right, this is the cliff notes.
All right.
Of
Whew.
cliff notes. But so you have them like an electron's positively charged. Okay.
Mhm.
I could then take those, if they're paired, I can take those, I can take one of those and put it across the planet, across the galaxy, and I could change the polarity of one and the other one would change,
Huh.
Mhm.
which is very interesting.
So, like when you poke one twin, the other twin fills it.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. But imagine that on a grand scale.
Dude, it blows my mind.
I was actually reading about that the other night too.
Were you really?
Yeah, because I was thinking that's crazy, and I've talked with people who, I mean, a lot of people have this theory, but anyways, here we go. So, a lot of people say, you know, if you think a line about this person, or you send this person a message, they're gonna, you know, and it's a like person, like you're gonna pick it up.
I know
So-
what you're thinking all the time.
Well, I know. I mean, and well, and who's this? You know, like when people are like, we'll just say someone's pregnant, and somebody in their family members or you know best friend is like, "You're pregnant," or you
Right.
know somebody knows something happened to somebody. You know, it's kind of the same thing. I think. You know.
If you think there's that global consciousness project, there's that whole theory that there's this big consciousness or some, not necessarily consciousness, but there's some kind of network of information that we're all plugged into at a
connected.
spiritual level.
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about that, if you think about that quantum entanglement I was talking about, and you think that some people maybe have more of those in them than others, they might be more tapped into that.
Right.
Than others. I mean, it just keeps going. And then there's the whole aspect where you can flip that coin right over with quantum physics, quantum mechanics, with the whole fact of the observable reality. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's the fact that like, just by observing an experiment in quantum physics, it determines its outcome. In other words, they will do tests where they'll do. I don't want to go nuts on this again. But
I love it.
They'll do a test where they'll shoot electrons through at this barrier, and there'll be a slot in it. Now the electrons can go any which way through that slot and to hundreds of different destinations. And when they're not observing it and they shoot it, it hits all the spots at once. But when they do observe it, it only hits one particular spot. So in other words, all those futures are possible, but in the observing of it is what determines which one it does. It's very weird. You should really look into that. And that kind of flips this whole thing upside down by saying, okay, are these things happening because we want them to happen?
Is it a consciousness?
That's a huge question.
If a haunted house, if no one's in a haunted house, is there activity kind of thing?
Like if a tree falls down in the forest, does somebody hear it?
Exactly. And that's the flip side, is there's so many theories that make sense, but are they making sense because we made up the theory first, kind of thing?
Right.
You could go insane thinking of this.
I know. I tell you what, we think of hours about different dimensions and alien thought processes. And, it goes way out there. We're like, oh, well, are aliens part of the ghosts? What do you think of that? I mean, do you think that could be some type of alien and spirit connection?
Well, a friend of mine has an interesting theory, Mike, that actually does the board games with me, and he thinks that there is one force. He theorizes that there's one force behind it all.
Okay.
And that if that force is kind of gets its fuel by people being kind of afraid or on edge, however you want to take that, that it would take the form of whatever would stimulate that. Okay. So if you know how there wasn't much fear of aliens, and then all of a sudden the more people were afraid of it, the more they were seeing it, and the more it kind of came to light, and then you have Mothman, vampires over history, and all this stuff that either in our own consciousness or in reality, these things are being manifested by one thing that's just trying to get this subtle kind of fear in us.
Right. Well, we've seen a lot of people, we've seen a lot of spirits or entities that have been manifested, that we think have been manifested by people's imaginations or people's thought processes or what they've gone through, like their own negative energy and things like that. And they're pretty gnarly. I don't, I call them the crawlers because they crawl. I just don't. I don't like them.
Fly swatter.
Right. No, they are bigger than the fly swatter.
We'd have to get a gigantic fly swatter.
Right. And I hide behind Cam. I'm like, close my eyes. I don't like the crawl. I just even thinking about it puts a knot in my throat. No bueno. But we've seen things that have possibly been manifested because they are not human. They're in no way human form, and we don't even resemble it.
Yeah, and that's I've experienced a lot of things that don't fit the realm of what people think of when they think of the paranormal.
Right.
Like, there's a lot of things out there that are just they don't fit.
Right.
And interesting case we had. There was a woman who was having activity in her house, and usually the activity has some sense to it, has some kind of pattern or some kind of logic to it.
Right.
If you're there long enough, you can find it. But this one just didn't. It didn't make any sense. Typically we would call that a poltergeist situation. But she was not. She didn't fit the description. Usually it's a prepubescent girl or it's a woman going through menopause that is the source of it. But that wasn't going on. She was in between that. So we had a friend of ours that was Anyway, he knew a lot about the brain, and he had the tools to measure brain activity. So we let him do that. That's why I don't know. But he came in and put the things in the right place, and she was there and she's doing her thing, and all of a sudden this book flew off the bookshelf.
Oh.
Boom, across the room. We're like, oh wow, cool. And then right like a split second before that happened, there was a huge spike in her brain activity.
Huh.
And we're like, And the question that raised, everyone's like, well, maybe she manifested that herself with some kind of spike of brainwave activity,
Right.
which that's what I believe happened. But at the time, I said, oh yeah, okay. Or what if she's so tapped in that she actually knew that was going to happen beforehand and
Right.
was reacting to it? But fortunately, it happened a few more times. We were able to determine that the time between when the spike was and when the activity happened, it seemed to point towards that it was making it happen, because sometimes it was right at the same time, depending on how far the object was from her.
Wow. Now, I know you believe in like empowering people, that they have the ability to take control.
Yep.
How do you have a person who doesn't know that they're doing that take control?
They already are. They're throwing books.
I know. Obviously, if they don't
Yeah,
know
all of
that
a sudden all
they're
this
doing
stuff
it,
started
how do you
coming at
stop
us.
that?
No, but,
how do you stop that?
Yeah, how do you tell somebody, okay, your brain is throwing things?
Right.
All right, but think about it. If you're in your home alone and stuff's getting thrown at you and you're terrified, and I come to you and say, look, I have proof right here that chances are, I guess it's not proof, but I have in front of me stuff that leads us to believe that this is coming from your own brain. Now, would you feel scared, or would you feel like kind of intrigued, like, okay, wait, all right, so it's not ghosts, no one's trying to kill me, I've got some kind of superpower.
Yeah, so now what can I do?
Right. I'm
Let's try a chair next.
Stay Puft Marshmallow. You know,
Yeah, try to
Joe, keep your mind
recall.
clear. Stay Puft Marshmallow appears. I have a crazy imagination, and that's what would happen.
Huh.
Exactly. So that in itself was empowering to her, and
Heck yeah,
I'm
you're
honestly-
kind of superhero, lady.
yeah, like what
I
are you
have a Batman
talking
shirt.
about?
I will share.
Actually, she started taking some vitamins, and eventually got it under control.
You do.
Vitamins? Are you kidding me? Like a
Yeah,
multivitamin?
she was-
Or,
she-
I mean, because I need to know what she was lacking. So I can.
It's called the superhero vitamin.
I need to like get all the, I don't know, what is it, like zinc out of myself so I can throw books.
You'd be very dangerous, and
I
I don't
know.
want to be there when it happens. Kim, you better watch out. Girls got superpowers.
Well, she's got the shirt for
Yeah,
it, right?
But seriously, what was the vitamin?
I don't know. We left it in the hands of the professional, because there's a certain point in every investigation where, well, not in everyone, but in some investigations where you're like, okay, I'm going to start being liable for this, so I got to.
Right.
This is
Yeah,
beyond
but-
me.
Step back and let somebody who is professional at what they do what they
Exactly.
Yeah, that
Exactly.
always worries me. Like, whenever we go out somewhere, you know, to an investigation, I'm like, okay, how much do we have to do with this one? I mean, how much is going to be involved? Because it is a commitment, isn't it? I mean, you can be
Yeah,
with
it
somebody
really
for
is.
years dealing with their haunting.
Oh, I
and-
tell you what, I get
know?
calls from
Yep.
our first investigation 10-ish years ago, and they still call. Nope, I'm telling you it's demonic. No, it's not. It's, you know, we have evidence it's a little girl. Nope, she's just fooling you. Has anything bad happened?
Yep.
Nope, she just opens my doors, but it's demonic. Okay.
It's weird when some of the kids you helped out now have kids.
Yeah.
I bet. You're watching them grow up, and
Yeah, I mean, it is a commitment, and I think as a paranormal investigator, you have to be prepared to stick with these families.
Right,
You know,
well,
if
they-
you go and help somebody,
Yeah.
you can't leave them hanging.
No.
If your team disperses, you need to refer them somewhere.
or you just
Yeah.
take them with you. You know,
Well,
that's what we've always done.
Either way, I mean, you can't leave somebody hanging.
No.
You really can't. And
You can't. It's
I don't.
wrong.
I think a lot of people don't understand what it is. You know what you really have to do, because you have to do your research, and because it's not all just fun stuff.
Oh,
I mean,
gosh,
you
no.
have to sit at
Research.
the Hall of Records for 10 hours. See how
That was
fun that
hell.
is. You know.
But the worst part is when you go, like, I've gotten over the years, I've learned that you have to go in there and just set them up right, because the worst situation to be in is when somebody wants their house to be haunted and it's not,
Oh,
or someone
that
doesn't
is-
want their house to be haunted and it is.
Mhm.
And you just got to go in and set it up straight. Just be like, look, you called me, I'm here to help. if you don't want to listen to what I have to say, or at least consider it and try it, then I'm not. Then don't waste anybody's time.
Right.
You know,
Because at that point,
because a
there's
lot
not
of,
much
and
you
it
can
sounds
do.
harsh, but a lot of the time, and I don't say it like that, but a lot of the times, people who they'll call you in, and then you'll be like, this is what you need to do. It sounds weird, and they're like, no, they won't do it. It's just like, why are you calling me in here? Like,
Right. You get, and then
No,
3 years down the road, you get another phone call from him saying, "Oh, the same stuff's still going on. Just letting you know." We're like, "Oh,
yeah, or I sold my house at a loss to get rid of it when you could still keep your house and be fine,
Right.
if you just said. But there comes a point in many investigations, especially when you're new, where I'm sorry, not when you're new, when you're further along in the game, that you just have to say, I'm sorry, I can't help you anymore,
Right.
because
Yeah.
they're listening, and so a lot of the times they're making it worse, and that's this worst situation when they don't want it to be haunted, when they want it to be haunted and it's not, and they won't listen to you, then they start trying to get something in there, even to spite you.
They stop
And
taking
then
vitamins."
open up a can of worms. Yeah.
That was good.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm loving where this is going. I mean, because
I
there's
love
a
it.
lot of information here for so many people. Because,
Well,
like I said, a lot of people don't understand that you're getting into this investigating.
You're
and
getting into
it's
somebody's
not.
home at the most vulnerable point in their life, so for most cases.
Right. I mean, you really, really, really have to be prepared and really be dedicated and have passion and seriously know what you're getting yourself into, because it's not all roses and candy. And
County records is a pain.
He used to teach a 5-hour course. That we worked. We worked with him to try and get the word out on it. But the awesome course. The whole course was designed that if you wanted to start a group, you would go to that course, and by the time it was over, you would either be like, "Yes, I can do this," or you'd be like, "Oh, heck no, I'm not doing this."
I'll stick with the TV
Because
station.
there is so much you don't see on TV. I'm sorry if I overtalk you.
Oh
guys.
no, you're
Sorry.
fine. It was me.
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
No, it was me over talking you. Sorry, go on.
Oh, okay. Well, but yeah, there's so much you don't see on the show, and I was personally feeling like we need to do something about this, because a lot of people are starting groups, a lot of groups are popping up real fast, and they really don't know what they're getting into, and I was feeling guilty about that, like, holy cow. And so we did our best to kind of spread our word online and all that stuff, and in classes and at events, that you can't just grab a camera and go into some stranger's house. Like, that's the worst thing. You got to do background checks. You got to have waivers. You got to have a sixth sense about, okay, this isn't right. You got to know how to protect yourself and how far you can go protecting yourself,
Right.
without going too far. And I tell you, there's some hairy situations I've been in, and you learn from that real quick.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, on that hairy note, we have to take a little bit of a break, Grant. So we'll let you go to the bathroom or get a drink or whatever it is that you do. I
make it
told you we were
personal.
controversial. So we're going to go ahead and take a break. And I don't know if you know this, Grant, but we have somebody out of California who does reporting. He's got his own little segment, and he's so awesome. But his name is Larry Gonzalez, and he runs a Facebook page called Big Time Paranormal. So he does a segment where he reports on news he finds interesting in the paranormal, on people he finds interesting in the paranormal, on books, and on Paracons and any other events. So we like to go to break, and then we come back on with Larry, and then we get back into the show. So we're going to go ahead and give Larry his time. Awesome guy, great guy.
It's funny.
Right, and and everybody watching, thanks so much for watching. We will be right back after the break with Larry. And we'll be back with Grant Wilson after Larry.
Right, 5-minute break.
5-minute break.
We good, Kim? We're back.
We're back. Just for a second, though. We are going to hear from Larry from Big Time Paranormal. Great information. Sky, oh my heck. Funny stuff.
Funny,
You're going to love
funny.
this.
Gonna love it.
Thank you, Kim and Cami. Welcome to Big Time Paranormal right here on Worldwide Paranormal Network. I am Larry Gonzalez, and I am so pleased that you're here with us. It's hard to believe that I've been doing this for 14 weeks. It's been an interesting experience for me. It reminds me of the old adage, may you live in interesting times. But then again, that was actually meant as a curse with the Chinese, not as a blessing. But that might explain a lot of things in my life. Anyway, I hope everybody had a wonderful Memorial Day. For those of you that are in other countries that might wonder what our Memorial Day is about, it's really a tradition that started when, after the Civil War ended, it was to remember those who fell in the Civil War on both sides. It wasn't until the end of World War I where it was made into a remembrance of all soldiers who fell in battle. So this is a wonderful time for us to remember those who have helped and freed people around the world, protect, and so on. Despite what you might think of us in other countries, these men and women give so much and they sacrifice so much. It's good to honor them. So thank you. If you served, thank you. If your parents served, thank them. Thank all veterans. Now, with that being said, let's get on with some of the news for the past week. Now, the news this week was pretty light when it came to the paranormal stuff. I know that last week I did a lot of stuff when it came to technology and stuff like that. Believe it or not, sometimes it's kind of hard to find news. But we're going to get started right away. Our first story has to do with, it's over in Britain. It is very interesting because it's actually a memorial for a gentleman who was a pilot who was killed in 1913. He flew for the Royal Flying Corps. His name was Lieutenant Desmond Arthur. Now, Lieutenant Desmond Arthur, he crashed his biplane in 1913 in nearby Lunan Bay. And of course, this is in London. In Britain. About 3 years after he died, that's when they started seeing his ghost there in the airfield. They have seen it over the years, so they decided that our Memorial Day, which is yesterday, they were going to honor him by laying a wreath in his honor. And so it's nice to see that he's finally going to get his just due. But it's interesting that even Britain, the airfield, they recognize that there's a ghost there. This story is rather unusual. The story has to do with a ghost ship. It was an abandoned, possibly toxic cruise ship. I wonder if they got it from a certain company that calls itself Caribbean. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, the cruise ship has been lost. It was lost in the North Atlantic. The problem is that the ship is called, now this is Russian, so Lubul Orlov, something like that, left Canada, bound for a shipyard in Dominican Republic in January 23rd. The only problem was that it disappeared, and they actually got to see this ghost ship about 500 miles off the coast of Ireland. It's been also seen off about 800 miles off of Newfoundland. Now, what's interesting about the Newfoundland part is that the Coast Guard, the Canadian Coast Guard, had received the emergency radio beacon flash the location of the ship, according to the Vancouver Sun. So, what caused the emergency signal to come on? I don't know. It was toxic. Anyway, no further signs have been seen of the ship. So who knows where it's at? Possibly sank. Who knows? But then again, the ocean's big, and I understand he tend to lose things all the time. So I don't feel so bad when I lose my keys in the house, and I'm going, "Where's my keys?" Okay, our final story. This is a professional starer. If you have $72 just, laying around, and you thought, and you lived in the Denver area, you might have bought a full day pass to have Croatian faith gazer Brejko stare at you for an entire day. Now, supposedly, when he stares at you, he's supposed to be able to cause healing and spontaneous changes. So, I'm pretty good at that. I tend to stare at the TV real good, where I actually feel like I could change. But I bet if I stare at a mirror long enough, I can actually cause something to happen. Let's see what happens. No, nothing happened. I don't know. I guess I'm not that good. Apparently I made no changes. Anyway, up next, conventions. Okay, our first convention, we've reported this before, but it's good to go over some of them just so in case you're new, you haven't seen any of these conventions before that have been reported. The first one is the Upper Peninsula Paranormal Research Society in Keewatin Casino. This is pretty neat because the casino is helping to put this on. This is going to be in August 9th and 9th, 10th. This is the 4th annual Michigan Paranormal Convention. The largest lineup yet. It's a 2-day event. And they're going to have people like Dave Schrader, from Paranormal Challenge, Darkness Radio. These are the ones you're going to recognize from Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International. You have Adam Berry, Amy Bruni, Ben Henson, Bill Murphy, Factor Fate, Britt Griffith, Chip Coffey, one of my favorites, and Joe Chin. They're going to be at this. And again, this is the Upper Peninsula Paranormal Research Society in Keewatin Casino. And we'll make sure to put a link right in the bottom, or a website, so you guys could check it out for yourselves. So check it out, August 9th and 10th. Well, that was fun. I actually recorded, or I thought I recorded, 2 different recordings for the conventions, and I found out I just took pictures of myself, so I have to re-record it. Yay! Okay, so our second convention is the Comic-Con International San Diego. My dog Boba. Anyway, this is going to take place in San Diego, July 18th and 21st. It's a 4-day event. It's the 44th annual show. Now, again, a 4-day event. Now, I normally don't report on these kind of conventions because they tend to lead more toward the comic book stuff. But the conventions, those kind of conventions like that one or WonderCon or whatever, has been shifting away from it more and showing more of the entertainment stuff. Like, you know, they'll show trailers for the Avengers or Iron Man or Man of Steel, stuff like that. And so they tend to bring the actors, actresses, footage, really, really cool stuff like the props, armor, whatever they might have. So if you're into that, go ahead and check it out. So again, that's in San Diego. Beautiful city, by the way. I used to go down there all the time. Okay, now we have Big Time Paranormal and also Worldwide Paranormal Network. I feel pretty much the same about this. The big conventions tend to get all the publicity, all the big names, and so on. So it's actually kind of nice when you have a group of people that are trying to put on a convention for the love of it. This is going to be the New England UFO Conference 2013. It's supposed to take place Saturday, October 26th. Now, what they want to do is they want to do a fundraiser and raise the money to bring in big names like Stan Friedman to give talks and stuff like that. Now, they don't do these things for free. I wish we could get them to do it for free, but I understand they got to make a living. The idea is that if they could raise enough funds and bring these people in, then they will go ahead and be able to allow the public to come in for free. So obviously they're doing it for the love of it, not for the money. This event is supposed to take place in Leomonster, Massachusetts. Boy, am I getting that. I'm probably saying that wrong. Like you, Joe. That's me. Anyway, they want to do this and also have it on an Access TV show. It would be hosted by Carl Paramini, Access TV. The event is supposed to help the convention. It's going to be, let's see, our campaign kickoff show can now be seen on Cityscope. We are currently seeking volunteers to help make this event happen. So they're obviously asking people, you know, we don't have a lot of money, but we would love for you to volunteer. And of course they're looking for vendors. And if you're in the New England area, that would be wonderful if you can help them and support them. It would be an opportunity for you to get some names out there and make some connections, as you can imagine. The good thing about these things, you got to remember, is they do help when it comes to the local economy. And this will help restaurants, hotels, anything that's in the area will generate money for the local stores and so on. So check that out. It's worth it to check it out. Now these two, they're not conventions, but they're points of interest. I'm going to put them back to back because they really are kind of the same thing. Everybody knows about Roswell, or at least if you're in the UFO community, you know about it. Of course, everybody that's gone to science fiction movies knows about Area 51. So they have an International UFO Museum and Research Center. The museum is located at 114 North Main Street, Roswell, New Mexico. The phone number is 575-625-9495. Now, my brother went to this a few years ago, and he thought it was really interesting, and how they changed the entire city to be more UFO and aliens. So, you know, they have all kinds of things there. So, if you want to check out something like that, I think that would be really fun. So, remember, Roswell, New Mexico. The next point of destination for you if you're in the UFO stuff, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Encounters of the UFO Experience. It's a interactive journey exploring alien encounters from ancient times to modern day. What it basically is it's going to have testimonials, it will have pictures, it will have recordings and stuff like that, all set up for you to check out for yourself. Now, they have it from Memorial Day to Labor Day. Once Labor Day is over, they want to take it on the road, a worldwide tour. Probably tour with like Kiss or Jennifer Lopez. Maybe that's what they'll do. Anyway, this is right now it's at Broadway at the Beach. The tickets for adults are $14, $12 for seniors and students, $10 for children ages 4 through 12. Children under the age of 3 are free. So there you go. So maybe you can go on Jennifer Lopez or whoever's going to be there. You can go, rock on! Before it hits tour, the world tour. You could get one of those t-shirts that say, like South Carolina, San Francisco, New York, France, the UK. Anyway, that is it for the conventions. On this one, we're going to be talking about a new TV show that I actually got a chance to see. Maybe you've seen it too. It's William Shatner's Weird or What on Sci-Fi. When I first heard that he was doing something like that, it reminds me of his colleague from Star Trek, Leonard Nimoy, when he did In Search Of. The only thing is that William Shatner has his charisma and his sense of humor and so on. So he brings that with each and every story. I got a chance to see them talking about spontaneous human combustion. A woman fell out of the air. She should have died, but people thought it was a guardian angel that saved her life. Stuff like that. And I like the show. I've gone to Star Trek conventions and met William Shatner. He is a charismatic individual. He is you can't help but like him when you talk to him. So you'll like the show. This brings, like I said, he brings a little bit of his personality, his sense of humor to each of the stories. But I think it's worthwhile, and you should give it a try. Finally, our prayers to those that suffered terrible damage and loss of life in Oklahoma with the tornado that destroyed so much. I'm sure you've seen the pictures on CNN or Fox News. The devastation. It looked like I can't describe it. Just everything's just flattened, and those people just lost everything, and they're trying to put everything back together. So our prayers, our hopes to all those people. May God protect you and watch over you. And I hope you can get your lives back together. Now, remember, if you want to come over to Facebook and look for me, and of course I have also Julia Di Maria on Facebook, also posting on Big Time Paranormal. We have been posting a lot. We've been a little bit more careful because if we overpost, Facebook tends to knock us off for 48 hours. So we've had to scale back a little bit. We've taken shifts. And so she posts some things, I post some things, and it's working out so far. So come over there and take a look if you like it. Like the page. Our goal right now is 1,000. We're getting closer. As of right now, as I'm recording, we're almost at 875 likes. So we're getting closer to the 1,000 mark. So I'm really honored and humbled so many people like it. I also want to thank Worldwide Paranormal Network. I always had trouble getting that out. But Kim and Cami has been really supportive with everything we do. And thank you. Thank everyone. And remember, today is your day. Go out and make it happen. We'll see you next time. Thank you, Kim and Cami.
All right, guys.
We're back.
Larry.
It's funny.
I love Larry. You know, you are amazing. I don't know how you disappeared, but I'm going to try that next time. I'm going to focus in a mirror, and I'm going to see what happens.
I don't want to do it.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
Huh. Well, he didn't know
That's
what
scary.
happened, so I guess we wouldn't really know.
You try it and then tell me if you disappear.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that was awesome. We love Larry. Thanks, Larry. You are such an awesome guy. You work really hard, and we really appreciate it. And you appreciate the kudos you give us, you know? And also, oh my gosh, he's got 900 likes on his Facebook page.
You said it again, share the love.
Share the love. Share the love.
Said it last week, said it the week before. Share the love.
All right, guys, and we're going to get back to our guest. We've been talking over the break and stuff, and we've got a little bit more info. I mean, we're going to delve into this right away. Grant, are you with us?
No.
No. Grant, where are you? Do you have a mirror?
Did you disappear?
Well, one thing I really want to touch on is we were talking about possession, demonic stuff. I mean, this is kind of a thing that not a lot of people really touch on. So, and we were talking, it is scary. You know, it is scary. A lot of people who don't believe in that kind of thing, that it can happen. I mean, they don't. I guess they don't really understand. But the people that do see that stuff, they probably know a little bit more.
Right.
And a question that Kim had was, why are we not airing this stuff? Because I mean, it's obviously huge. People are fascinated by it. And you had an answer for us. I mean, why do you think that there's not a show going around filming like exorcisms?
Well, there are a couple reasons. There's one I didn't talk to you guys about, but it's a little less interesting. Maybe not. Is the fact that almost every time you're trying to document something of a negative style haunting, which is the term we use because we don't like to give religious connotation because we don't necessarily know what's going on, but anytime there's a negative style haunting, the equipment typically doesn't work right. Either the tape will stop while the camera's on, or it won't record anything, or it'll shut down completely, or it'll go to fuzz, and stuff just doesn't work right. So that makes it very difficult. The other angle is, and the more important one, is that anyone who's been involved with negative style hauntings or demonic style hauntings, knows that it doesn't just happen randomly. It targets people who are weak, and they're weak for a reason. Every single negative or demonic style haunting, there's usually something very odd or weird and just not right going on in the immediate circle of the family or immediate friends. Nasty things like, incest and like abuse and just, human sacrifice, you name it, all sorts of stuff like that. Going on that you just don't. That stuff shouldn't be on TV. Like it just shouldn't be on TV in general, and you shouldn't have to just. You're trying to help the family get better, and by putting that, like you said, airing dirty laundry on TV does not help that process. So that's why you never saw it on our show, and you're probably never going to see it for real, or if you do, it's going to be very rare on TV. And it's crazy because, as I mentioned way back in the beginning of the show, that there are a few places where religion overlaps in the paranormal and can't be ignored. And this is one of them. Believe in what you want, religion, be atheist, whatever. There is, in my experience and the experience of everybody that I talk to and trust, when you have a negative style haunting, something that classifies as that based on its activity, the religious provocation, not of any particular religion, but religious provocation always has an effect. It doesn't have to be Christian, it can be Jewish, Native American, whatever. it always reacts to it, which is kind of interesting. So take from that what you will, but that's just one of the trends, and I'm not quite to think about that.
And so how many of these have you dealt with, and do you refer them? Do you deal with it yourself within your own team, or do you refer it out if you have dealt with one of these cases?
Dealt with many, and they're actually really rare unless you're in the field and people know you can handle it. But it depends on the situation of the team and the investigators. If any one of the investigators has a pregnant wife, we won't do it. There are a lot of weird things that happen. I don't want to get too into it because you kind of have to understand the field, that aspect of the field as a whole, or else it sounds particularly weird, or people won't believe what I'm saying just because they're not getting the whole picture. I don't know if I'm making sense there, but I'd have to sit here and talk for hours in order for you to get all the information, to understand all the information. But it's not that. A lot of people are terrified of it because of what Hollywood has done. And while negative style hauntings are drastic and more powerful and all that, it's not what you see on TV. It's always over the top in movies. Even if they say it's based on real stuff, it's not that way. But it does. Like I said, it doesn't happen random. You're not going to be a nice, charismatic guy with a good family and everything, and all of a sudden, bam, you're hit with negative haunting. There's something that I call the path of possession, which sounds ominous, but that it's a long, drawn out process of a negative style entity, and this is all again theory, but backed up with many experiences, that you've got this negative style entity that starts to wear your will down to the point where you will let it in. And the theory is that a negative entity can hurt people, it can push people around, it can scare them or whatever, but it can't kill anybody. It's just some unwritten law that it can't. But if it wears your will down to where you let it in, take over your body, now there's like a loophole, and it can use you to really cause some damage. But it's picture like the lion hunting the gazelle. It goes for the weak one, it goes for the sick one, and that's how it works. It's not going to go against something that takes too much energy. So people like us, we're just regular people having a good time, and we have friends and we have jobs and all this stuff, and we get out and we enjoy the world. That's not tantalizing prey. It's looking for somebody who's maybe just got some weakness, some addiction or whatever. And let's say it starts to whisper in your head, and you can't get any sleep. And because you can't get enough sleep, you lose your job. Now you've lost your job, you start to drink, and now because you drink, you lost your girlfriend. And all of a sudden you start to retreat from society and your house. Like, I can walk in a house and know if they're on that path already. Just by walking in, I can see that the windows are drawn, all the shades are drawn. There's no plant life. There's nothing in there. The place is dark and dirty, and these people have no attachment to the outside world. They, and the recipe for that is when they're there, you do that. We will go and we'll buy big potted plants and put them in. We'll get their closest friend, if there is one, or we'll get somebody to get in there and start encouraging these people to get out there and take them to the movies, get them out of their house, and do all this stuff, and basically recuperate them so that they're not attractive to this thing. It's a weird, like I said, it sounds crazy and like stuff from books or movies, but whatever the source is, whatever this is, whether it's in our mind or it's an actual negative entity or whatever, it exists. There's a problem out there and people are suffering from it, and so we don't care necessarily where it's coming from. We just have to know how to deal with it.
So does it scare you? I mean, when you go into these places, I mean, obviously there could be a danger. Are you frightened?
No, you can't be frightened. Because think about it. If I walked into your home and I'm supposed to be professional and I'm frightened, where does that leave you if I run out of your house?
Yeah.
Well,
obviously we're not going to run out of the house. I mean, but like inside, are you like?
oh crap mode.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a negative
Go by
thing.
pay grade.
No, because there's kind of a payoff for a seasoned investigator, and that is that the activity is usually nuts. So you get to see a lot of crazy stuff. But yeah, if you go in there, what I do is I go in and I picture this negative entity. Like you say that, and people picture maybe something big with horns or like something mean and drooling or whatever. And,
Crawlies.
you know, I don't. I picture like the alfalfa from Little Rascals. I picture like the wimpiest, little, nerdiest geek. You know? And that's all it can be, because that's all I'm letting it be.
Oh,
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And so that's what I do. I go in, I'm just like, you know what, whatever. And it can't, it can only do so much. And if you're willing to accept that you're going to get pushed around or whatever, that's fine. But it's definitely a completely different ball game. And you have to, people you go in there, you have to have an implicit kind of unique relationship with, where I could walk in there with my best friend and, let's say I might not like the shirt he's wearing, like, but not, I don't really think about it on a regular basis. Like if he shows up in the shirt, it's like, oh, that doesn't look that great, but whatever.
Right.
There, in that investigation, that will start to eat at you to the point where you're ready to punch him in the face because you dare wear that shirt.
That's
It's
terrible.
It's just the atmosphere, and none of us feel that way. But when you're in that atmosphere, that has a tendency to happen. So you have to kind of have a relationship with them where they know that number one, they're not going to wear that shirt. You talk to them,
I mean, what do you do if they do? Or do you be like, get that shirt off now because I'm getting pissed?
You would know. Yeah, that shirt has to go, and there's no questions asked. Okay. And then you have
can
to have
take
the
that
relationship
really,
where
really
when
far.
you're on the case, you're like, I'm going to knock you out if you wear that shirt one more second. And he has to have the sense to go, okay, and change it or whatever, you know?
So do you bring a
a
spare
stupid
shirt on
example, but
every
it's-
investigation, Grant? I mean,
But
just in case.
That explains that naked episode.
There's the naked.
It's an example, but that's kind of what
Right.
it's like.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, the hostility would grow and grow and grow and grow, and it's gonna try to get at whoever it can. And if something as simple as a T-shirt makes you want to knock somebody out, the hostility has to grow.
They're not idiots. They're in, the theory is that they've never taken human form, so they're kind of in their natural element.
Mm-hmm.
So they're strong, they're knowledgeable, they're comfortable. This is what they're supposed to be in. And so they're not idiots. And you can walk in there, and if you're too confident, they know what you're up to, and they won't show themselves, because they know if they show themselves, then you'll get rid of them. And it's a poker, it's a chess game, and it's crazy. Yeah, a totally different ball game.
So if you go in with ego, then you're not going to get nothing. That's crazy.
ego.
I didn't even. Well, I guess that kind of falls into the, they're not going to go for the easy prey, and they're definitely not going to go out and try to fight with a, Goliath or something.
Right.
Yeah,
Especially
and
if
like going back to the lion analogy, if a lion knows there are hunters there, he's not going to hang around. He's going to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Wait for you to leave.
So in all your years of experience in doing these things, have people asked you to cleanse their house with the sage or anything like that? Do you do that? Do you recommend that?
No, we don't do that. What we do is we know that there's no harm in blessing a house or doing any of those activities, and we will always consult with their religious leaders and say, hey, just come over and give these people a blessing in their house, or smudge it, or whatever, and make them feel better. That's usually in the case of a residual haunting or a human haunting, intelligent haunting. But it's not going to kick it out if it's a human.
Right.
If it's, like I said, with the negative style entities, religious provocation works.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a human, an intelligent human, it has free will. And I can sit here and burn sage in your face all day long, and it's not going to make you leave unless you just are sick of choking on the smoke. Like, you know what I mean? I can sit there in front of you in a room and command you in the name of all that's holy to leave, and you can just look at me. I can't force you out, but I can make it uncomfortable for you, or I can encourage you. Like, I can turn up the heat, and you'd be like, oh my gosh, I gotta get some fresh air and leave. Or I can say, hey, I'll pay you $50 if you'll leave. do this not that you do this with entities, but they're human.
We offer
you know,
candy all the
currency's
time. You have no idea.
Right. Or I can say, hey, guys, let's go outside, come look at the sunset. And you come out and it's beautiful and you're not in the room anymore. Like, that's how you have to do it. Like, you can do blessings and yeah, it makes people feel better and all that.
It's a
and I'm not saying they're empty, but they're human beings. They don't have to do what they don't want to do.
Right. Right. I've always said with saging and things like that, people need tangibility. They don't believe in their higher selves. Cammie and I, we do, you know, self-empowerment, such as you believe in. Self-empowerment. You have the ability, you have the control. However, in our minds, for some reason, we as human beings don't believe that we have the power. So people need that some type of tangibility, whether it's a stone, whether it's a saging, whether it's something
to give them that
empowerment, that one, just that oomph to go.
You make a good point, because giving them a blessing actually empowers them a little bit. Okay, it empowers them so where now they can handle the situation because they've got God on their side. And it's not saying that that's a lie. I mean, there's truth to that. But you got to be careful when it comes to putting that in an object. Like, a lot of people have a crucifix, a crystal, or whatever. Now, the problem with that is that if you put all your faith into that object, I've always said this, that can be the first thing to go.
Yeah, what if you lose your rock?
Right, and then you're in trouble.
I have a crystal in my hand, and this is the crystal that's going to protect me. Or it's in my pocket. You know, I'm invincible without this. I'm protected. It's gone. Now, not only are you not like. It's not like you went back to square one. You're deeper now because you don't have the rock, and now you're scared and panicked because you don't have the rock.
Because it went through the washer, you know, it doesn't have its powers, quote unquote.
Yeah. So if you just have that within yourself, that can't be taken.
Right, and that's what we try to do, is we try to give that self-empowerment because it's real. It's real, it's honest, it's what it is. Mm-hmm. And it's really hard for people to understand that they have the ability, they have the power to take control of what's in their home.
Exactly. That's the key, because that can't be taken from you unless you give it up.
Right. And that's where bad t-shirts come in. Don't wear that shirt.
Bad t-shirts. I'm going to need to get a list of all the shirts that you hate that I wear. Please don't say the Batman one.
That was my first stop. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think I think your wardrobe was pretty cool with me. Okay. We're good. We're good.
Go find out. Go on a negative hunt.
You know, we've been in negative situations. And they're not, they're not exactly great. I've never wanted to punch anybody in the face. I've wanted to puke, but never wanted to punch anybody in the face. That would be an interesting experience.
It depends. I've never wanted to punch anyone in the face, but if you're an aggressive person, that may be what it latches onto. Mine was more, I would get frustrated in people.
Huh. Right.
Everyone was just like, had no common sense, which works with that was what would get me fired up. And that's the tool that it could use in me to affect other people best. If you're a big bruiser, then it's going to want you might get violent. Who knows?
Right. I have a short fuse, so you never know.
All right. Stay away from her.
I wonder what I would do.
You have to go in the case with boxing gloves.
You would need boxing gloves.
Me? I'm violent?
No, you're not violent.
Oh, phew, gosh, I was going to say, what is your perception of me?
We've been best friends for a long time.
I know, that's why I was like, why didn't you ever tell me this?
No, you're not violent. I just think you would really tell somebody where to go and how to get there in a hurry. Mm. If you were drawn
don't let the door smack you on the way out. Right?
Right.
I would think it, I'm sure, but I'd be like, no, I can't do it.
You'd be like, I need to step outside.
That would hurt you.
That's right, you are pretty considerate.
I don't want to hurt somebody, but yeah, so let's hope that I don't have a violent streak somewhere and we accidentally go into a negative situation.
Right.
Well, and it's just important that people are able to people in investigation groups, paranormal investigation groups, it's important that they not necessarily have to know how to deal with those situations, but they just have to be able to identify them and know where to go in order to have those handled. So that's something that you don't see on the show, you won't learn from the show, but it's crucial. Know when you're in over your head and know who to call.
Right. We've always had a good background of people of who to call, and we know you have to know your limits. If you don't, you're gonna get kicked in the butt. That's when those pow moments come in. You know, you get kicked in the face and then pow.
Pow, I thought I knew this.
And it happens, even with the most seasoned investigators. It happens. You just have to have backup of all sorts.
Well, and if you come into a situation, like you were saying, that you don't understand, you've never experienced, I mean, and even can, like you were saying again, recognize, you know, you have to know when to pull out and say, oof, hands up.
Yeah.
It's time, I need to refer you to such and such, or things
Yeah,
like that.
because you're kind of there are like 3 layers to the focus of an investigation of who you want to help. You want to help the spirits, you want to help the homeowners, and then you want to help yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like those are the 3 levels there. And in that same respect, it's protection. Like who do, like, if the homeowner is in danger, then all of a sudden what the entity needs doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm in danger, then what the homeowner needs doesn't matter. Like you, and that sounds insensitive, but if your life is in danger, run. Like, you have no obligation
Right.
to these people. Like, you are willingly putting yourself in their place to help them out. And if they're threatening your safety, you have no obligation to give.
Right.
to
You just
save
grab
them.
everybody
Yeah.
by the hand and be like, let's go.
Leave the recorders!
And go. Yeah, right.
That's our thing. I'm going to puke on the recorder.
I'll send you a self-addressed stamped envelope. Mail them to me.
That's it. But I mean, that's the stuff that you don't get.
Well,
You don't, if you're in an investigation, we've had this, lady pulls out a shotgun, go. You have no obligation to stay there. Go. Leave.
Well, and then what good are you
Like-
going to do if you're in danger? I mean, if you're the one who's under,
Yeah.
attack or whatever, you're not going to do anything.
Hold on. She pulled out a shotgun?
Was that just a story or was that serious?
No, that's legit. Yeah.
Oh, snap.
Oh, we've come across, occult activity in the woods, where they've threatened our lives and all that stuff. Yeah, so you gotta know about this stuff. I mean, if you just want to go in historical locations and check it out and get a bump in the night, fine. But if you really want to get out there and help people, you have to be prepared for everything that's out there, and you have to know what's out there, or at least what could be out
Yeah,
there.
we've been really lucky.
I know.
in
I'm
the 10
like,
years.
okay, let's go back to the shotgun. What in the crap did you guys do?
Well, don't really want to get into that one, but neutralize the situation.
Successful dodge.
Neutralize the situation.
All right, so I want to talk about something else here really quick because, this is all fun, but shotguns and dodging, we're going to go somewhere else here now. So,
Uh-oh.
we were talking also about our haunted location that we have and that we investigate and research and conduct tours and ghost hunts out of. And we were telling you a little bit about that. And then you started talking about your inn, the Spalding Inn.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
give us a history and, some claims and things like that happens. I mean, I'm curious. I'm really curious.
Right.
Well, Jay and I got the place because we love New Hampshire to begin with.
Mhm.
And we were looking for, we were looking for a campground. We wanted to buy a campground because we love to camp and try to make it like a Halloween-themed campground, which we thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
But we found this place, and it had 80 years worth of paranormal claims. And so we're like, wow, let's check this out. And the guy who owned it let us stay there with no power or heat. We built a fire in the lobby and the fireplace, and stayed there. We had some activity, and so we said, you know what, this would be great. Let's get this. Let's open it up so it can be a place where people can come and investigate. And we weren't going to take any money from it. We wanted it to just support itself, and a place that we could go and vacation and enjoy, and other people can come and have a place to investigate where the staff and everything was ready and willing to help them in that endeavor. We thought it was a great idea, and the Spalding family owned it. It goes back to the late 1700s, part of it, and then they kept adding on to it. It was world famous for lawn bowling.
Lawn bowling?
Yeah, they have a nice flat.
Is it croquet or are we talking like serious bowling here?
It's like bowling. They huck the ball down, and I don't know.
Was there
We
pins?
so gotta go do that.
Well, was there pins? We got to know how to play
Right,
this
well, we gotta know how
first.
to play.
I don't know. I don't really understand it, and quite honestly, I was so busy I never really took the time to research it thoroughly. But they weren't necessarily into it.
I'm on it.
But all
I'll
the
do
friends were, and so it was like the elite would come, and this was their clubhouse, and they would play, and they'd stay there, and they'd stay like the whole summer. And they would each family would have their own servant that was available 24 hours a day and all this stuff. And they were very much people of the times. They didn't like colored people there. They didn't like poor people. And we got this place, and we want anybody and everybody to come in. Bring your kids. I don't care, whatever. And this did not make them happy, these entities. And we got to know one guy named Ted Spalding. He took his own life there. I guess the stress, he shot himself. And we kept talking to him, and we got him, and he was like, Ted, what do you think? Do you like this place? Like, we're doing it? And be like, no, and he'd start going on. Like with the K2 meter, we would have great K2 sessions that, with controlled questions, and we knew that we were getting some serious communication. And we would, do you like what we've done with this place? And we just keep going, and we'd be like, all right, enough, and we'd stop. But we got on a kind of a love-hate relationship where, I'd have to pour him a shot glass of whiskey and stuff, and he would come. But because you have a place like that, and you would know, you start to build this repertoire with them, and that's cool because then you can just get a lot further, and you don't have to start from scratch every time. And it's neat because every time we would talk to him about why did you kill yourself? Or we would say, anytime we talk about the afterlife, the conversation would stop and he wouldn't come back.
Huh, really?
Yeah.
So you guys actually have ghost hunts at your inn?
Oh yeah, they have ghost hunt getaways and all this stuff, and people come there all the time. And the staff will give you the keys to the carriage house, and which if it's people aren't staying in it, you can go check that out. They'll let you investigate as long as everyone who's there is okay with it and stuff. And it's fine. It's great. And there's activity, and people have crazy reports, and it's great. That was the whole reason behind it.
So do you just have Ted that roams around there? Or do you have multiple spirits?
No, in fact, there's Hannah. That was a woman that was, she worked there, and she was trying to sneak a smoke at the carriage house. She leaned out the window and actually fell down and broke her neck and died.
Smoking
kills.
Smoking kills.
Great minds think alike.
That's tragic.
That is sad. Don't hang out your window.
Yep, and then there's like a kid in the carriage house that recites arithmetic. He just 1 and 1 is 2, 2 and 2 is 4. Very weird.
Wow.
And then more and more stuff keeps happening. Room 38. A lot of stuff happens. We've had drawers, chest of drawers open and close, and doors open and close, and shadows and people. You name it. It's happening, and we're not saying it. In fact, very little has happened to me, other than stuff with Ted after the original experiences there. But people. We have a book there, and people write down their experiences, and it's all there. It speaks for itself, and. It's a great place. It's very peaceful and quiet, but you may have some activity, so it's perfect.
Yeah,
it works out great.
It's pretty too. You guys did a really good job.
Yeah, it's
getting
really
it fixed
pretty.
up.
Thank you. It took a lot of work.
I can imagine, but it is beautiful.
Yeah.
So, do you think that people that maybe you have brought spirits with you from your investigations, or other people have brought spirits and they've kind of just been dropped off there, or where do you think they're all coming from?
Well, I don't look at spirits like that. They're people, and you can get up off your couch, you can walk down the street and go to the store, and there's no reason why you can't do that. So if there was actually a family that was last event we did, they came and we were having an interaction too, and it was another solid one, and it kept trying to. Kept trying to draw attention to this one girl in the room, young girl, and we kind of got the sense out of it that it was looking for its family, and that it was a girl. It was about this certain age, and that family ended up like, they just turned around and laughed. And I went up to them later and I said, hey, did we do anything to bother you? And they're like, you don't understand, our daughter, who is the same age, died in a car wreck, and she was a huge fan of the show and all this stuff. And I said, look, I'm not going to connect the dots here, but is that why you left the room? Like, yeah, I mean, there were things that were indicated there that this was her. And I said, well, they were from, I don't remember where they're from, but they were not from the area at all. And they were saying that, that it makes sense that she would come there to the people that she had watched on TV, who she had confidence in and faith in, and travel with them that far just in order to make contact with them, to just let them know that she's all right.
That's
weird
crazy.
Stuff.
I mean, we've had things like that happen as well, and we've also had people, at our location, and it's I don't even know what to think of it when it happens. It's amazing,
right.
But you don't know. I mean, we've had people come back, to the place trying to make that connection again, and it's just this cycle of, and I don't think it's healthy, really. If you make contact, somebody tells you, one in particular, they clearly, I mean, it was so clear who it was that they were talking to, and this person just kept coming back, and they said they're fine, they're better. And they kept coming back, trying to get more contact.
More and more contact.
Yeah, I don't believe that's healthy, and that's exactly how the conversation continued. I said, all right, if you believe that's her, she was, like, she said she was fine, and then it ended, It's like, whether that's her or not, we don't know, but if it is, and you have a feeling it is, and she says she's fine, let it go.
Yeah,
right.
Like,
take that.
Don't keep her here or whatever, in theory. Maybe she's really comfortable. Maybe it's even painful for her to come here and tell you this. Don't make her do it again.
Right.
Like, we don't know.
Right.
Good.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
How much
Well, you know what? I want to say the website really quick. You go to www.thespaldinginn.com.
Right.
There's rates there. There's packages there. There's times where it's open, because it is up in the mountains. So you guys have, snow, like a ton of snow.
Oh, yeah.
So you guys close from time to time, certain areas, right?
Yep.
So definitely, before you plan your vacation to go there, go to the
book
website.
ahead of time, don't just show up.
Right. Go book it. Look at when they're going to be having their, opens. And there's a lot of different packages. And it's really, it's so cute. It is so cute. And then you can even sit on the porch in a rocking chair.
I like the porch and the rocking chairs.
Yeah, we'll even give you a shotgun loaded with rock salt. You can shoot at people who come.
Will you really?
No.
Don't tease, Grant.
I'm like, you got gophers? I'm in perfect aim. I'm Annie Oakley. I'll shoot those gophers all day long.
Oh, jeez. So, Gal, you know what? I've had so much fun. So much fun
That's been
tonight.
great.
Yeah, time.
I love, my favorite part is the theory in the quantum area. But that's just
totally
the geek nerd me.
Right.
I find that
love
so
it.
fascinating. Things that you just can't. I just can't grasp
Wrap
them.
your mind around it.
Well, I can wrap my mind around it, but the magnitude of it. You could go
That's
so deep, and I'm like, I'm a deep thinker.
Yes, you
So
are.
I just want to keep going and keep going and keep going, and then, like I said, I stop and think that could be dangerous. Maybe I shouldn't discover this because I think very highly of myself. I think eventually I'm going to discover something awesome.
I think you will.
I don't know. You never know. But anyways, that's my favorite part. Well, actually all of it, but that's my personal favorite. That's my personal favorite. But we have to wrap it up. I know it's late over there, and
It's almost.
gosh, hopefully we can get you back on again.
Absolutely, that'd be a
This
blast.
would be fun. Hopefully, we've got our viewers to think outside the box a little bit.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And just think to a different level and really be considerate of not just grabbing a camera and going into a home. Because you're dealing with people.
Mm-hmm.
You're dealing with their possibly most vulnerable moments. And take into consideration. Yeah.
It's the people that'll hurt you, not the ghosts.
Right.
Yeah, they have shotguns.
Right.
They have shotguns for crying out loud.
Shotguns, frying pans, you name it. Yeah.
Ow. Ow.
We've been really lucky.
I know.
We've been really lucky.
All right, so
But-
once again, everybody, Dwarven Miner, Kickstarter. Let's throw him a bone. Give the man a hand. Give the man a hand. Let's get this going. Let's make sure he gets what he needs.
60-ish hours left.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's not just me. I mean, it's the other people who are working hard. It's not like I'm sitting here with my hand out.
Right. No, it's
And I'm not. It's not a
company.
charity thing. Like, come and support it, and you'll get cool stuff.
You'll get cool stuff.
Cool stuff. You can't go wrong with cool stuff.
Grant illustrations.
I'm on board.
Now, are you
Right.
signing it?
Yeah.
And he's signing
Not
it.
the game. I'm not signing the game because we're not going to see the games. That's going to go right to you.
But the
we have
pictures.
artwork and stuff that's limited to Kickstarter. So the only time you're going to get it is in Kickstarter. Limited runs. That's it.
Yeah,
doing
think
it.
of how much that'll go for on eBay. I'm just saying.
5 cents.
Oh, come on. Go at least 10. At least 10. Big money. Woo! All right. Okay, Grant. Well, like I said, thank you. We really, really appreciate it.
Oh, man. Thank you so much.
So much fun. And, yeah. Kickstarter, The Spalding Inn, Grant Wilson.
Here
Love
on
it.
WWPN.
We love it. Worldwide Paranormal Network. We love it. All right, Grant. We'll let you get back to your evening, get some sleep, and we will talk to you later.
Thank you. Thank Larry, guys. Have a good time.
Good night.
Good night.
All right.
All righty.
That was so much fun.
God, you know, he is such a genuine, just awesome guy.
Stay there. We'll talk to you after. Hold on.
Or you could go to sleep, whatever. We'll talk all night. We can do this.
Right.
We do it for a living, kind of.
For entertainment purposes.
Yeah. Okay, so next week, we've got this new up-and-coming team coming on. Grant, don't snicker in the background, okay?
That was Kim.
Oh, you're pinning it on Grant. He does that all the time. He likes to pin his stuff on people.
Right.
Anyways, we've got somebody out of Ohio. Big Dog Paranormal.
Big
we got
Dog.
Eddie. Yeah, Big Dog with
Dog.
DAWG.
Paranormal.
Eddie and Gary from Big Dog Paranormal. New up-and-coming team developing. You know, come in the chat. Give them some love. You know, share some advice. Whatever you need to do. Listen to what they've learned. Like we said.
New people, think outside the box.
Freshies.
Freshies.
We've got a good lineup in the next few weeks and
Right?
months, and
It's coming.
it's coming.
All together.
But I want to hear you guys are doing it right. So that's good.
Aw,
Well, thank you.
thank you very much,
you.
Grant. All right,
All right.
everybody. We will see you next week, next Tuesday, same time, same place.
Yep.
And remember, we are not alone.